Hey, what are you guys doing over there? Oh, hey, welcome to the show. Hey, guys. What's up? I'm Bucky Dillon. Thanks for tuning into the Liberty Revolt. Guys, we're so excited to be with you. We're going to be talking about immigration, a topic that is very divisive in America today. But hopefully, if we stick to talking about the facts and we take an honest look at what's really going on and why certain policies are actually better than others, we will get a better perspective that will bring us together. Today's episode is sponsored by the Youth Federalist Initiative. Find these guys at yfi1776.com. Check out their classes and seminars, such as the Advanced Candidate Training Class. And I hope you guys enjoy the show. LibertyRevoltMedia.com. Kevin has no audio. Devastating. What's up, guys? And we're live. It's great to be with you. If you're watching, say what's up in the comment section so I know who you are and we can hang out. And do not hesitate to like this video, comment on this video, share this video, and just be a part of the conversation because we are here to be a community with you. Kevin,
can you hear me yet?
I can hear you. And I lost you again. What's up, Cole?
Just walking around the city, man. What's up with you guys?
We are talking about immigration.
Yeah, I'm a fucking immigrant right now. Sucks.
Yeah.
I'm a piece of shit. I'm ruining this place, dude.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. But
we lost
Kevin.
Kevin. Kevin has no audio. This show's over.
Oh.
What are we gonna do without Kevin?
I mean, he's the one who keeps up our consistent fucking content, man.
It's true. It's true.
He's gonna go get a big boy job. What kind of big boy job? This is a big boy job.
I thought this was a big boy job. Apparently not.
Big boy volunteer service.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, wait.
We can hear you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Thank God. Cole, are you trying to get yourself arrested, bro?
Here's the police. Look, here they are. You guys see him?
Oh, my gosh.
He's on his phone. What's up, bro? He gave me a head nod.
Nice.
Yeah, cops don't give a fuck here, dude. It's great. You do whatever you want. I'm telling you.
All right. So, what is going on the southern border? Tell me.
Kevin, tell us.
We lost Kevin again.
Are we live? I didn't even know we were live. Oh, hello, everybody. I'm so sorry. I thought I was just bantering with my friends here.
Yeah. We're live, and we're looking like total hacks.
Okay, well, listen. If we're going to talk about the southern border, then obviously we need to talk about this new Haitian migrant horsewhip video thing that has come out, right? I'm sure you guys are aware of this, where Joe Biden came out and said, we're going to stop using horses at the southern border. Like, dude's whole thing after seeing these pictures, that were circulated widely of some dude kind of not really whipping, but rounding up Haitian migrants in a morally.
He had reins. There were reins, man.
Yeah. They were reins, exactly. And I mean, that's what you use on a freaking horse when you're trying to round people up. I don't know what else you expect him to do except club the guys, But Joe Biden blamed the horses.
Well,
right? He's like, oh, well.
Hold up now. Did you see the hate in those horses' eyes? That was a racist horse.
Those are some pretty angry ponies. I'll tell you that much. They were.
Yeah. So.
I do know for 100% fact that like they would the journalist himself who took the picture was like, yeah, the guy just grabbed the shirt, man. That's like all he did. But there's no accountability in the media. So yeah, he was whipping the shit out of that Haitian guy.
Yeah, of course. Right. And you have people on Instagram with thousands, if not millions of followers like Sean King, who's like, this is a straight up picture out of a slave plantation in Virginia in 1863. And it's like, no, Sean, it's freaking not. Just because the guys happen to be black and just because the guy on the horse who's doing his freaking job happens to be white and grabs somebody's shirt. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, maybe they could have gone about their job a little bit better. Maybe it could have been a little bit more, I don't know, morally or humanely taking out. But I'm not there. I don't know how that shit goes. And I know that when you blame the freaking horses, of all things, and say that's what we need to get rid of, even if there is a problem, you're not addressing it. They're going to put these guys on ATVs so the migrants can hear them from 10 miles away. Rolling up.
Maybe that's what they want. They want the drugs coming in the country and the migrants getting through. So they're like, yeah, we need to.
They absolutely do. I mean, by deductive reasoning, we have to assume that if every policy they pursue results in more illegal immigration, one after another over the course of months, and then when it's hitting all-time crisis levels, the only people they can condemn are the people trying to stop it. Well, I mean, you have to assume at some point this must be what they want.
Yeah, they clearly want this because it's not that they clearly want this. Let me rephrase. What's going on here is a failing of ideologies and a failing of policy, right? What they would like is open borders and free flow of immigration. But we have lost that privilege. We lost the privilege of being able to be a country of open borders as soon as we started accepting illegal immigrants in, not shutting down our border, not controlling the flow of immigration through the borders, and giving access to social welfare benefits to immigrants and illegal immigrants. As soon as you do that kind of stuff, you are putting extra incentive to come to your country beyond just the open market for job competition. You're putting incentive on there just for purely, quality of life issues. And so when California has policies where you must get treated and taken care of if you go into an ER, it makes sense that illegal immigrants go into these places, never give anyone a name, and never get checked. That costs California billions a year in healthcare. And it's also something that incentivizes people to come from places like Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, Ecuador, all these places that are having a lot of issues right now. It incentivizes them to come to us because, hey, at the very least, you're going to get healthcare and your kids are going to be able to go to school. And if you do it illegally, you don't even have to think about paying taxes or doing any of that other kind of stuff. You're going to be the top competitor in the market because you can take less than minimum wage, which means that you're immediately you're immediately more appetizing to an employer that needs cheap labor because like you can't legally pay me $7 an hour or $10 an hour to do a job right now. You would get arrested if you were a business owner, you get fined or something like that. But if you have an illegal immigrant, because they're not in the system and they're not being tracked and they can take payments under the table, you've immediately incentivized the business owner to choose that person over me. And that only operates under minimum wage. So you create basically, at this point, a slave labor force under the minimum wage where the people working those jobs don't have any level of chance to make it beyond that. But because of the policies you've put in place, you have incentivized that, and you have created a reason why you must now control your borders, because you now have external factors that are threatening the balance of your labor market, because your citizens legally cannot work for below that wage, and these people can, except they also can't go above that wage legally. So
right. And these immigrant workers also have no recourse for being ripped off or for unsafe work standards or whatever it is. Once the government starts regulating the economy and interfering in the economy in all these ways, your ability to take in immigrants and have it be fair to the people who already exist, take in immigrants illegally, right? I'm someone who believes that we actually need people. I am not someone who thinks we should restrict immigration. I think we should restrict illegal immigration. I think we actually need people. I think having more people in this country to get things done is actually good for us, especially when I think about, we're trying to compete with China that has 5 times as many people. We actually need people in this country, but we also need operational control. And it's so ridiculous to hear people say that we need compassionate immigration reform, a compassionate immigration policy. If you don't have operational control of your border, you don't have a border policy. It doesn't matter what's written down on the people. When just this year so far alone, you've had over 1 million immigrants enter this country illegal, most of which are not being tested for COVID at the same time as Joe Biden is restricting monoclonal antibody therapies from reaching southern states at the capacity they need and shipping these immigrants all over the country. It doesn't seem at all like this is about compassion, because think about it. If you were compassionate, you would want to address the issues on the southern side of the border that are making things so terrible. And who's profiting off of this illegal immigration? It's the drug cartels who are facilitating these border
mostly
crossings.
them.
The human traffickers.
It is mostly them.
Yep.
I mean, think about
and they're incredibly rich and militarized and terrible and commit atrocities.
And they're getting richer all the time because they're using these massive mobs of people that they orchestrate, and people aren't just walking across, because if the cartel finds you walking across to what they consider their territory and you don't have their permission, they'll kill you. So people save up their money. They go to these human traffickers. They pay them to get access. These traffickers hand them index cards with exactly what to say to the border agents to get into the asylum process. They know exactly how our system works and all the loopholes in it. And then these people go across the border. And while our border patrol agents are distracted dealing with 500 immigrants coming across in one location, and our border patrol agents have to all come deal with these people, they're able to traffic their drugs, traffic their women that they've forced into sex slavery across the border with a wide open path. And they're taking all of this money and reinvesting it into making this cartel even stronger. And this cartel has operational control of the southern side. It's part of the reason why people are trying to flee, and they're profiting off of these policies.
Yep. They are 100% profiting off of it, and it's incredibly dehumanizing. They're basically, when someone comes to the border at this point, they have to just live in absolute hellish conditions. They have to go through hellish conditions to get here. And part of the reason why they're doing it is because we haven't created a situation where we have said, like, you will not get in illegally, but if you try to come in legally, you'll be fine. Like, they're in this situation because our border is so porous that there is incentive to sneak people through it, and there is incentive for people to try to get in here. So all the policies have done is created massively terrible incentives for people to want to come to our country right now. And we just we no longer have the policies in place that allow us to be the opening, welcoming country that existed before the 1930s, right? The one that, the Spanish and the Italians and the Scottish and the Irish, that doesn't exist anymore. Those policies are no longer in place because of, a myriad of social welfare programs, a myriad of just terrible problems with working conditions and stuff like that. And it is the most inhumane thing we are doing. But of course, the party that professes itself as the humane ones and almost never does anything humane, they're going to demonize people like us instead, because they need the average person not to question it, because as soon as the average person starts questioning this stuff, they're going to realize, wow, these people are actually kind of evil.
And if they can silence anyone who goes against their agenda by calling you a racist, bigot, white supremacist, and here's the thing, not only are these so-called compassionate, fair border policies propping up the some of the most evil and violent regimes in the world on the southern side of the border, which is making the conditions down there so horrific, and not only are they facilitating sex slavery, I mean, our border patrol agents were able to find a 17-year-old girl in New York City who was illegally smuggled across the border. And then in order to pay her cartel dues, as they call it, she was forced into prostitution, where she was raped something like 41 times a day for years. And then they tracked that girl down to a holding house, or whatever they call those safe houses, where there was like tens more migrants living under the radar in these houses, all being essentially held hostage by these cartels. And what happens to a southern border town that is being just completely having their culture and their city taken over by immigrants? I mean, Rio Grande had over 6,000 immigrants so far this month. What do you think it does when you take 6,000 people from a different culture and then let them just come right into a town and move through it, and all the resources in that area are being, I mean, Texas is spending tens of millions of dollars to try to deal with this, resources that could be used to improving these communities. You're manufacturing racism.
Ask Germany and Sweden.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, seriously, Germany, Merkel even came out and said, after they let in 1 or 2 million various refugees from North Africa, the Middle East, and Syria, and said, this was a bad idea. We should not have done this. Angela Merkel, who for almost every other part was super pro-immigration, even though she's of the Conservative Party, super left-wing in Europe, she even came out after, what was happening in Germany, because there have been so many problems with their social health care system, with their socialized medicine system, with all the public benefits that they now need to accrue to immigrants, especially now, that she had to come out and admit it was a mistake. And now they kicked her out of office. So, I mean, it's not like it's...
Oh, the election was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's out.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Conservative Party won.
So... Yeah, I don't know who they elected, so yeah, it could. Thank God, it could be like, oh shit.
Oh no, the Social
They elected
Democrat
the Liberals.
Party. Yeah, they elected the Social Democrats, but
they elected the Liberals, man.
But number 2 right behind them was the Conservatives.
Yeah, well,
and then
I mean, technically, Merkel is a conservative, which it makes no. This is what we did to Germany after, obviously, in West Germany, the way we're like, you guys are never going to be right wing again in any way possible, which there was
a lot of, so between the CDU, the FDP, and the ADF, that's almost 50%. So the Liberals don't have as much as you would think. But they won a quarter of the vote, but the Conservatives are right behind them. This is going to be very interesting to see, because the refugee crisis of Europe is going to be rearing its ugly head in about 15 to 20 years. That's when it's really
going to get much worse, man.
Yeah, it's going to get
once
so
the water
bad.
starts running out. Well, yeah, once the water wars start and the resource wars start, like they already have in Yemen. I mean, Yemen is not just an example of a proxy war. Yemen is an example of a total resource and ecological collapse exacerbated by political interests in the area. And as time goes on, we're going to see this with more countries, namely with Libya, with Egypt, with parts of the Levant and parts of the Middle East. When water and resources become scarce, where are they going to go? We know exactly where they're going to go. They're going to go to Europe.
Yep.
That's where they always go.
Yep. And we're doing nothing to actually help these countries like develop, industrialize it all. But at the same time, the left is like, it's so contradictory, because they you listen to them here in America and they love specific cultures. What they love is non-white culture, right? They really love anything that isn't white culture. which is why when they're talking about places like America and stuff, which they identify as a form of white culture in Europe, they have no problem with the idea of immigration like that doesn't respect cultural values or anything like that, because, well, those values are racist, disgusting, white supremacist anyways. Because to them, you know, it's basically a comeuppance, if you will, like, finally your culture is going to get screwed kind of deal. But at the same time, it's like, no, there is no culture there. Europe is just this giant white blob of soccer teams, basically, and Africa is where the true culture is. Mind you, they always talk about African culture as a monolith and have no idea at all, like, of any of the diversity. Dude, it's all versus ignorant.
They straight up fight each other more than anybody else on the planet. Like, different African cultures within the same country just war the shit out of each other all the freaking time. There is certainly no unity in kumbaya in Africa, and anybody who thinks differently is totally ignorant.
Yeah, no, it is absolute ignorance, and it's absolutely hilarious to watch, because then it's like, okay, now apply that same, why don't you give the same value to the cultures of Europe? But it's like, oh yeah, you can't, because to you, there's only certain cultures that matter, and they're the ones of the oppressed. But it's like, at the end of the day, why can't you just care about the idea of culture in general? It's probably good that if you bring the people, when you're bringing the people in, the people that you as a white liberal are probably incredibly ignorant of the reality of the situation. Like, they basically disdain the idea of the noble savage, but it's like, you do realize where that came from, right? Like, it's Native Americans were exactly like us. Like,
right. It's so interesting. I saw one of my lefty friends share this map that had like the various Indian tribes charted out across the American continent. And it was like, why don't they teach us this in school? White supremacy. And I was like, okay, that map probably lasted about 5 years before the Cherokee tribe moved in on the Blackfeet and slaughtered all of them, scalped them, and buried them. I mean,
they moved in on the Sioux. The Blackfeet were hard to kill. The Blackfeet were hard to kill.
Yeah, the Blackfeet were really hard to kill. It was like the Pooter Indians.
Come on, man.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is that all of these Native American tribes, they act as though they were smoking pot and holding hands with each other and living in ecologically sustainable ways. They were slaughtering each other. Like, when the Europeans got there, they were horrified at the barbarism and the violence that was going on in these cultures. I mean, they were enslaving each other, murdering each other, pillaging each other, raping each other.
Trail of Tears had slaves. The Native Americans had slaves on the Trail of Tears.
Kobe, the black half of Kobe's family, came to Oklahoma as slaves on the Trail of Tears. Like, again, like,
Native Americans had.
No, but it's the soft bigotry of low expectations, right? If that is the case, that they were just not as developed as us, then the reason why Native American tribes are amongst the ones that struggle the most in their nation is because they're lesser. That's what the projection is. To someone on the left, the current situation on Native American reservations is just a reflection of how capable they are, and it's like just a little bit racist there, if you know what I mean. It's like the noble savage idea it's like, the idea was that the Native American people were the same as us as far as people go. They just didn't have our technology. And that was true. In fact, it wasn't until the Spanish came to America that Native Americans even got their hands on horses. The Spanish introduced horses to North America, like to the Native American tribes. Like,
and the thing is, like, the Spanish teamed up with all the tribes. Like, Cortez teamed up with the tribes in Mexico to take down the Aztecs. Like, it was not this whole 100 guys took down the Aztec Empire single-handedly because they had guns. All the other tribes in Mexico at the time hated the Aztecs. Hated them.
They would kill and dismember their tribal members. But unfortunately, 90% of the American deaths or the Native American deaths were diseases that they had never been introduced. It was disease because the Native Americans never domesticated animals for the most part.
Exactly.
It was
the European
You got it, man.
domesticated animals. They were exposed to diseases that the animals had. A lot of Europeans died from those diseases, but the ones who were left gained this natural immunity to the diseases from the livestock, which they carried with them and wiped out. I mean, Europeans were writing in their writings as they were going across the West, saying that they're just coming across graveyard after graveyard of abandoned and destroyed native civilizations that were wiped out by disease faster than they could even travel across the continent. And it's interesting because in terms of immigration, the first thing we would want to do if we genuinely cared about helping those around the world who are in dire straits, and we would stop, number one, funding the cartels by keeping them in business with open border policies that is tyrannizing the people down there and driving them up here. And number two, we would have an immigration policy that, yes, lets people in and lets us benefit from the productive activity of immigrants, but lets it in a way that is economically and culturally sustainable. And it's important that we stay economically sustainable, because what has lifted the world's living standards up more than anything else, it's been innovations from America. America has produced 68% of the world's wealth and contributed 50% of the world's medical innovations. The United States invented electricity, invented the light bulb, invented photographic film, invented the disc record, invented the phonograph, invented oil, airplanes, fire trucks, the MRI machine, artificial.
A lot of those things were actually
computers,
invented
nylon,
by immigrants.
cars, the microwave,
Came
disposable
here.
diapers,
Do
lasers.
it.
I mean, everything.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff was immigrants that made them.
The world.
So we need these people. That's the point. Is that you see countries that are, inherently xenophobic, and I mean it's true. If you look at Japan and China, they're inherently xenophobic in the fact that you can never become Japanese or Chinese simply by coming here and living for a really long time. They don't accept refugees. They don't accept most immigrants. They make it incredibly hard outside of being a citizen to even conduct yourself here. Their populations and demographics are collapsing, and this is going to be a giant problem down the line. So, I mean, just looking at countries like this, it may seem like there are a lot of people, but they're not enough because most of them are old at this point. We need a common sense immigration policy that keeps our reproduction rate above 2.1 because we would not have that without immigration. The U.S., the only reason that we are an industrialized country with a birth rate above 2.1 is because of immigration. But why does it have to be immigration the way we're doing it right now? Because everybody wants to come here. Even these guys talk about like bombing us and going to war and kicking our ass all the time. I don't know if I told you guys yet, but I've been hearing that a lot around here. And they all still want to go to the U.S. It doesn't matter. They'll be like, we're going to kick your ass. By the way, I just love to live there. I'd love to live in California.
Yeah, I know we're like the #1 destination, right? I mean, yeah. And if you cared about diversity, you wouldn't be just letting anyone from the southern border walk across. You would be letting people from all around the world come through in a diverse but legitimate legal way. I'm not anti-immigrant. I'm married to an immigrant. I love immigrants. I love the fact that the United States has all kinds of different subcultures. When I went to Detroit, I was so excited to go to Dearborn and try Middle Eastern food and go to Middle Eastern grocery stores. I think it's actually really cool. But we need to bring in immigrants in a way that is economically and culturally sustainable. Otherwise, it's to our detriment. And if the United States falls because we're stupid, we're hurting everybody.
Yep, that's exactly right. I think that you have to be. But the problem is that people can't separate from what they would really like to do from what they're actually able to do now. They always they always just try to do what they really want to do rather than honestly assessing, be like, I would really want to do this, but right now we just can't. So let's create the conditions that would allow, let's create the conditions that would allow for it. No, then politicians, they're not incentivized to do that because they got to get the re-election cycle going. And especially with the House, they have every 2 years, they're basically always running for re-election. So they never really actually get a chance to get anything done. So it's like,
right. And their #1 priority as far as issues they're looking to solve is how are they going to get elected the next time around?
Yeah.
That's always problem number one. Helping their constituents is far down the line from that.
Yeah. It's getting reelected, getting attention, getting notoriety, being able to, live off the back of your political state, your class. That has become the main incentive for politics because mainly of just how toxic of an environment it is. It's a bunch of skeezy scumbags that are just working to suit their own interests and do as much as they can to, take power from our own lives and give it back to the government kind of deal. And part of the problem is that this is the environment we've allowed to manifest, and now we're paying the consequences of the fact that the only way anyone is going to go into politics is if that's what they want the power that comes with it, because there's really no other reason to go into it at this point because it's such a toxic environment.
Now, Kevin, do you think term limits would help stop some of these politicians from spending their whole career seeking re-election instead of seeking solutions?
Well, I just think it depends on the area. The problem is that, especially when you look at the House, there are plenty of representatives in the House that are good politicians who are desperately actually trying to serve their district, because there's 435 seats in that room. The problem is that, there's such. I actually think the biggest problem is that the terms are only 2 years. There's no way you can actually do anything. If you actually talk to your average congressperson that isn't one of the heavy hitters for the Democratic Party, literally all they do all day is call people trying to get donations so that they can run for a re-election. That's like 75% of their time. They never have any time to get anything done. I think it's really nice to think that term limits would do a lot to help, but it's about what positions it's for. I think the Senate, yes. The thing is I think that for districts, especially with how specifically located they are, I think that should be the district's decision. I think that the law should be the district gets to vote on the standards. The district itself can impose its own term limits if it so chooses, or if they have someone that they really love being their representative, they can vote to have no term limits and that person can stay as long as they want. I think that the districts should be the one deciding this stuff. There needs to be more autonomy given back to the people when it comes to electing these things. Let them decide, because there are some people that term limits would be great for, and there are some people that term limits would absolutely ruin a community for.
I know, and that's something I've always felt like, because it seems like it's 1 in 25 you find a politician who's good at their job, charismatic enough to get elected, and actually does what they say they're going to do. And then if we had term limits, it just seems as though you occasionally find a good one. It's impossible to keep them. But then there are other strategies, like just the other day. I hope you guys go back and scroll through Liberty Revolt videos and find the one where Kevin and Eric were talking about proportional congressional pay and exploring that idea. But speaking of donations, guys, real quick, I want to give a shout out to Jim, Gene, Stephanie, Christy, Walter, and Min, who so far have supported my GoFundMe. Guys, if you're curious about what I'm raising funds for, is to get into the leadership program of the Rockies. The tuition is more than I have on hand, but it's a great program. And if you feel like supporting me, I'll put the link in the comments. Thanks, guys.
Yes, everyone, go support Bucky. He's awesome. Oh, hi, Eric. Welcome, it's Eric. Oh my gosh, I hope that's not true. I hope that there's not another 20,000 person freaking caravan coming to our border. This is just great, guys. I'm, as a fan of government failure, this administration has just been a boondoggle for me. At every single level, there is just such complete and utter disasters going on right now. Absolutely nothing is going right. And
Come on, be fair.
No, my conversations with leftists just get easier and easier, because I feel like, are you just use your eyes a little bit, and they're like, this Biden guy kind of fucking sucks, and I'm like, yeah, cool. Now get mad at the person who convinced you.
Whoa, great. Really?
Yeah. Welcome to my team. Let's go. Fuck them all is what I say. It's been great on campus, because like, my God, the people our age, or at least my age, you guys are old as fuck. At least
I don't
kids
feel
my
like
age.
it's persuading them. I think it's
How
just
old are you, Kevin?
that they need to go even further left.
21.
Like, Biden's terrible. We need Bernie.
You're 29?
21.
Oh, 21? Oh, Kevin's 21, guys.
Yeah, no, It's great. Every level it's failing. What is something good they're doing? They couldn't even pull out of Afghanistan well, man. He literally pulls out of war the same way old people pull out of driveways. So why why are we not surprised about this?
Knocking the dumpster over, starting a fire, running over a child.
Basically what he did. No, he drone strike 7, actually.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, they're talking about firing Border Patrol agents for doing the job. Well, if we should be firing Border Patrol agents for tugging on some guy's shirt while trying to contain the border crisis, what should happen to a president who gives $85 billion to the Taliban in military equipment and then drone strikes 7 children? Does that not manufacture anti-American hate? Like we wonder why there's so much anti-America radicalism in the region. While their defense was, well, we had good intelligence and we followed the same protocols we've been following for 20 fucking years.
Oh,
they had good intelligence.
Maybe we should start looking into that shit.
No wonder they hate us.
As someone who,
how can you call it?
Should probably look at.
Can you at least say we had shitty intelligence? Because that's what it was. It wasn't good intelligence if you killed 7 kids.
Yeah, what kind of defense is that? You're not making the point you think you're making.
I love it because it's like the whole mentality of it is that like, we just drone striked about 7 children, but you know what? We're sorry.
Yeah, nobody gets fired.
No questions asked.
Nobody resigns. Nobody apologizes.
Remember, you're evil if you don't wear a mask in a classroom, right? Like
yeah. But hey, your neighbor who happens to be a Republican, he's the American Taliban.
Oh my God, dude!
Give me $85 billion in military equipment. I'm ready.
Look, all I know is that every time. Like, I could use Joe Biden to actually make my life pretty well because I would just keep him around and be like, what should I do now? He'd be like, do that. And I'd be like, okay, cool. I'm doing this instead. And I would be just fucking perfect at that point because, like, there is just no competence at any level in any of this shit, man. Like, okay, I guess it's time, shit. They're looking into what we do. Guess it's time to launch another drone strike. Like, they lied us into these wars. They clearly said that this has been their standard for the last 20 years, which means we should probably go back and look at all the drone strikes the last 20 years. Oh, by the way, we've basically killed 2 million people in the region when you include Somalia, Libya, Algeria, like all the other countries that are involved in this kind of stuff. Like, oh, by the way, this is the same government people want running our healthcare and education. Yeah. Like, the cognitive dissonance there. No. It's going to be different people running this. It's like, that guy's the president.
Gosh. I wonder why there's so many groups that are willing to strap a bomb to their chest and blow up a bunch of Americans at any opportunity. Gosh, it's like we've been drone striking children or something. Like, what would happen if they did that to us? What would we do?
That's another thing. It's like people go, they hate me for my freedoms. I'm like, you sure?
No, they do.
A little. You sure?
When
a little part
the Japanese,
of it does it.
When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, like, recruiting offices literally had to stay open for like 2 weeks. 91% of eligible men signed up for the freaking army or the reserves or some element of the American machine after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. If anything like this happens to us, on a consistent basis, if there is a war declared, like we do over there, killing people, bombing a capital, man, there's going to be a disproportionate response. So how could we not think they would do the same thing?
I just like the mentality of it. It's like, they hate me for my freedoms. They hate me because Beyonce wore underwear on a stage. I was like,
wait a second.
You don't think a little bit of that is that you killed his father in a drone strike? No. It's my freedoms. They hate Beyonce. It's like, maybe it's because they drone striked an entire village and killed all the women and children. No, don't
forget all our material support to Israel. That's why Osama hated us too, because we gave so much money to Israel, and he has the whole jihad mentality going with Israel and our support in the region.
We were on the Arabian Peninsula,
and it's amazing.
Yes, we were.
The anti-war position has been largely adopted by the conservatives and the left.
I'm like, okay, pause on that shit. Hey, conservatives, you guys over there, do you remember when George Bush declared war on a literal emotion? He said, yeah, we're going to eliminate the very emotion of terror. We're declaring war on terror. Like, none
George
of this
Bush was an asshole.
He was.
Often, I'll say it again if you're listening. George Bush sucks. Okay.
Allegedly.
We can establish this again and again and again that I think he was the absolute worst president of the past 50 years.
Eric,
I don't think there's a question about it.
I would say Biden's handlers wants Xi to be in charge of the UN. I think the people who are way up the top of the food chain see the level of compliance and the ideological foothold that the Communist Party is able to manufacture in their people is impressive to them, and I think they want to see that exported around the world. I think they like China's innovation no matter the cost and control no matter the oppression approach.
Check out the innovation. There's a couple of nice malls you could see here, stuff that looks good. But if you guys watched my freaking video yesterday, you'll see that all this shit is built on freaking houses of sand because a literal brick fell through the ceiling of my school onto the desk where somebody literally would have been sitting and would have crushed their head. It could have crushed a student's head. This is like the usual thing that happens here. Everything that you see from the outside, guys, you can't see the guts. You can't see the guts, and if you could, you would see this rotting, putrefacting, terrible level of just asinine shit, okay? Everything they show you is bullshit. And if the Biden administration wants Xi to be in charge of the UN Security Council, we need to kick these fuckers out of office January 6th, 2.0, tomorrow. Fucking tomorrow.
I would just like to say he is not being literal in any of that. This is all metaphor.
January 6th.
It's a call for the American people to use their free speech rights to peacefully protest. Okay. But yeah, no, it's.
Nope. Fuck that.
Oh no, we lost Cole's audio. What happened?
Oh,
It's gone. But no, it's like at the end of the day, it's the absolute disdain that they have for that the elite have.
We have a radio show that can't be censored.
This is very true because, like, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's just people are starting to see what's going on in the immigration crisis. We should probably get wrapping up here. We're at almost 45 minutes, so yeah, no, it's. At the end of the day, like the level of incompetence coming out of this administration is just, it's like a ray of sunshine on my life, honestly. I can wake up every morning and go, you know what? At least the government is failing today. This is wonderful. This is a great feeling because if
the government loses credibility broadly, I'll be happy. If we just get screwed and then we elect the next guy who's going to be an authoritarian because that's going to solve the problem, then I mean, because here's the thing. I love to see the failure and the incompetence on the left. I'm afraid that it's going to give in to the rise of someone who's going to be strong and powerful from the governmental level to solve all these problems on the right.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, man. It does. You know, old anti-fascism had a point. Old anti-fascism between the interwar years in Europe. You know, when people saw like these right-wing assholes coming into power. But there aren't that many parallels, I think, with the modern day yet, but there could be.
Well,
there really could be. I mean,
when you hit an old lady in the head with a brick, that's just like.
Do you almost get hit by a car, Cole?
No, but I think some guy on a bike did. It was like 3 inches. This is very normal. I mean, very normal. I almost get hit many times a day.
There's no traffic laws in China.
Dude,
it's a free-for-all.
The car crash subreddit I follow is almost exclusively like Chinese traffic cams.
I saw a video from China where a lady goes to cross the street. She gets pummeled by a car, and this is like in a big city where they have millions of people, right? So there's like 100 people waiting at the crosswalk. A lady gets taken out by a car. She's like, suffering, right? Everybody walks right past her, just stares at her. A couple people pull out their phones and then keep walking. Everybody just keeps walking. She's sitting there like obviously and like bleeding out.
Sounds.
And then the light turns and another car just goes right over her. And that's the whole video.
Sounds
it doesn't
like
even surprise me. That
sounds like a culture built on good values.
That's the level of interest and concern that I don't. I mean, I know it's gonna sound terrible to say those people, but I mean, when I was in China, there was no concern whatsoever for somebody doing something stupid or somebody being abused by someone around them. It's just like none of your business.
Yeah, no.
Cole saw a guy
Dude,
dragging the street down the street, dragging a girl
Old lady
down the
dies.
street by her hair,
That's
and
just
the
one
police
less
were
person.
No,
stopping traffic
I didn't
and
see
waiting
that.
traffic.
I didn't see that. That was a video. That was a video. But I did
Oh,
see
really?
a couple. They were fighting. Was like the girl started punching the guy in the face, and he took it for a little bit, and then the dude grabbed the girl's hair and just started punching her in the face like hot, like 15 times. Just knocked this chick. And they both just let go of each other and just kept walking down the street. No one even batted an eyelash, dude. Not a single person even looked.
I was at a restaurant in China. You know how they have the big round tables and they put the hot broth in the center and they put all the dishes around it, and then that glass
Yeah.
rotates? Yeah, dude, I saw a fight break out at a restaurant while I was there with my band, and these guys are fighting and they're yelling across the table. And, you know, people are kind of glancing over, but they don't really care. This one dude stands up, he grabs the table and he goes, whoa! And he flips this table over and smashes glass and like boiling hot soup broth and all the dishes all over the place. And then these guys just start brawling in the glass. And like I go to stand up to like confront them because I was like the biggest guy in the room, and my whole table goes, no, you'll get arrested. No, don't do it. You're a foreigner, right? And I was like, what? Somebody do something, right? And I look around, everybody's just sitting there. They're just casually eating. They're kind of glancing up. Nobody gives a shit. The wait staff walks over. They get their brooms ready, and they're just stand there and just wait for them to finish. And they fight the whole way out the door. Come back in, fight some more, and leave. No cops ever come. Nobody did anything. It was wild. It was wild, wild west. In some ways, they have more freedom than we do.
Many ways. Did you guys just see what I just filmed? I don't know if anybody saw that. That guy totally lost control of his scooter and was like destroying the traffic barrier. And he was like 3 inches from losing control into it, like right into head-on traffic.
I didn't see it. Shit, I'm gonna have to go.
Holy shit! You guys, I'm surprised. That was bad, dude. It's just so normal. This kind of shit. Literally, we're talking about this kind of stuff, and you look over, and here's a guy about 4 inches from death. You know, crazy.
Right. You know, people think China is like this, like authoritarian hellhole where the government is just controlling every micro aspect of your life. But from what I saw, black market industries, they don't care. Domestic issues, they don't care. Traffic issues, they don't care. Unless it's a threat to the communist power structure, it's a total free-for-all.
Those things will be eventually, because the communist power structure is going to start failing, at which point they're going to have to start really cracking down on black market shit, because they're going to need to maintain control over things.
They're going to blame the U.S. Man. They're going to foster a war mentality.
It's not going to last long.
Yeah. Yep, I think already you've seen sort of a pulling back of the Wild West mentality, at least in a couple of places. But it very much is still here for now. But Kevin, I think your assessment is totally correct that they're going to have to do away with that. Look at this; it's like this mobile police squadron. Like I don't even know what they're doing. They don't do anything. It's here every single day, and there's always one guy who's just like brushing his freaking moped. I don't even know what's going on with these guys.
Dude, I'm just glad you're staying safe, man.
Hang on 1 second. I want to make somebody say hi.
Don't put your kids on TV, man. don't put your daughter on here, dude. No, we need to get wrapping up. We're trying to keep these a manageable length. So
I need to get out. I just made it to the gym.
Yep.
That's
All
where I
right,
was
man.
walking when you guys called me. So
Well, Buckaroo, thank you for just doing that. Yeah, we're gonna wrap up here. Any last comments, Cole, before we go on our way out?
yeah, watch your representatives. If anyone talks about making Xi the head of the UN Security Council, please don't stand idly by, because if this place dominates the rest of the world, we're gonna have a bad time. That's
Yeah,
it.
so
That's
much
all I
for
got. We're gonna have a
progressive
very
values.
bad time.
So much for progressive values and human rights.
Hey, any last words there, Cole or Buck?
Okay, I just want to say I want to address Tracy's comment. That's why I brought it up. Actually, I do think they assimilate here very well. I mean, when we think of the people who are coming to this country and committing crimes and being a drain on our economic system, it is typically not the Chinese immigrants. In fact, they're incredibly productive. They're incredibly entrepreneurial. They have huge investments, and they're really not engaging in crime and things. And I don't think that they really engage in politics that much either. I mean, I'm happily married to a Chinese woman. I love all of my Chinese friends. I have tremendous respect and appreciation for them. So I do think they assimilate well. I just think that Chinese culture being closed off from the rest of the world is not good for Chinese culture, and I think there's cultural shifts when it comes to valuing other people when your population gets to a level to where there's tens of millions of people in your city and everybody is trying to cram on the bus, right?
Yeah. Anyways, any last comments, Buck?
I was just going to say that I have this GoFundMe, and if you look in the comment section, there's a link. And if you gave me $5, I sure would appreciate you. And if you considered buying some of our Liberty Organics CBD, I will check the laws to make sure that I can legally send it to you. Just let me know if you're interested. If I can legally send it to you, I will send it to you, and you pay me when it arrives. So it cost me $25 per bottle. I would let it go for 35.
Yeah. Well, don't tell people what you get it for, because then they'll ask for slightly above it.
Well, I'm not going below 35 because I actually need to pay these off. So
Yeah. Well.
and turn a profit.
Anyway. Yep. So. Anyways.
Honest business.
I have my show, Common Nonsense, coming up on Wednesday. Got the premiere of that with a man that I've known since high school, Joe Bob Talifi. He is over there. He is over there at the Daily Caller right now doing a morning show every morning, and he's going to be my first guest. He's a man I've known for a while, and he's an amazing, awesome person. So it's going to be a wonderful time. Common Nonsense will be coming out at 9 p.m. Catch it on this page and the Be the Chain page on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern. So check it out. It's going to be a long-form conversation. It's going to be a great conversation, and it's going to be my first episode, so I'm pretty excited. Let's go.
Let's go. Watch
guys.
Kevin. Buy CBD. Support Dylan.
Yeah,
Don't
hell
support
yeah.
the CCP.
Well, y'all have a wonderful
Bucky,
rest of your
not
night.
the CCP.
Yeah.
Hang
Y'all
on,
have a
don't
good...
end the stream
See you
yet.
guys.
What? I'm out of here. Yeah.
So, Tracy, this is the Liberty Revolt exclusive brand of CBD, made and bottled right here in Colorado. No chemicals, no pesticides, 100% organic. We have it independently lab certified. What's on the label is what's in the bottle. If it's not on the label, it's not in the bottle. I use it. What I mostly use it for is sleep and public speaking. You're like, public speaking? Why would you take CBD for public speaking? I have to give a lot of speeches. Just the other night, I emceed the Reagan Roundup dinner held by the Adams County Republicans. And in order to shake the nerves before giving a performance and to help the words come to my head more clearly, this really helps with stage fright and keeping me relaxed, and it really helps me sleep. Those are the things that I take it for. If you're interested, like I said, just send me a message And if I can legally ship it to you without violating some of the laws and regulations around CBD, I'll look into it. I'll let you know. You send me a payment, I'll send you some CBD. Thanks, guys. I hope you have the most wonderful night, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday. Maybe Friday, maybe Thursday. We're thinking about changing to Friday nights. We're not sure because we don't want to battle be the change. We'd like to be able to kind of actually supplement their content stream. So, bye. Love you.